Yo, so the opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and the future Bachelor podcast only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity or anything like that. This fun podcast, though, may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor podcast.
Why don't we get into the meaty of the meat here, you know?
Meaty of the meat.
It's that time to talk about Bachelor stuff on our show! Yes, But before we get talking about Bachelorette, YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and need you to subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time we drop new Bachelor or Bachelorette content just like this. And if you just did, oh man, huge shout out to you. Ooh-wee. Air horns for you. Yes, V. Another week 3 of the Bachelorette, and oh man, it was an interesting one for sure. Where do we start?
Well, we're in the house. There's still so many fucking dudes.
Yep.
And the vibe is everybody's trying to figure out, how to get more time with both women during this, upcoming week, because they're all trying to figure out where their feelings lie. Some of them are a little bit more steady in their camps, if you will, but most of them in general have the general vibe of being all like, I don't know, they're both pretty, like I don't have enough, things to decide who I want yet. But
I will say this, these guys are stupid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just think, like, you should have already by now have, like, for day one, figured out which one you're going to go for. You have no ambition. You have no plan. You have no,
I think it's the lack of plan that gets me. It's, like, the lack of, like, understanding that this is a delicate emotional situation, which we'll get more into. But, like, you're going into this, you have two leads. So you have, like, an opportunity at two different women, but it's like you also know your own internal preferences, and you've seen, and a lot of them have seen, from watching the previous season or whatever, they know, and they've seen from the past couple of weeks or whatever time amount how these women are to some degree. I understand not everybody gets that much time, but you would still, like, you would think you would have a general idea of where you're at.
I mean, to me, it just seems like, I don't, it's not like going to a bar and trying to hit on like different girls. Like, it's like at a bar, maybe you could get rejected by one and then go and meet somebody else. This like two girls that are pretty much, going to talk to each other at the end of the day. And it's not like you can try with one and then like try with the other. Like that was maybe what the first week, maybe the second week was for, but by this time you should already know like what you're going for. And
right, because they're different enough where it's like, if you like, if you have different preferences in your dating style or in like who you want as a future partner, lifelong partner, I think you would have a general idea of like who you're a little bit more towards. And that's even coming from me, who like I notoriously don't have like a specific type, but there's still like generally like things about people that I enjoy more than others.
Totally. I will have to say though, I was pretty much not feeling everybody in this episode, including the girls. Just like everyone kind of had this weird thought of what should be happening this episode. And even when like people try to get control back, it always just seemed like there wasn't anything to control here. So this
whole episode was just it felt a little shisty all around. Yes, I will say.
All right. So yes, now with that preface, where does this episode begin?
So we know that we're getting 2 one-on-one dates, with one with Rachel, one with Gabby, and then a big group date, biggest group date ever. And so the first one-on-one date is Rachel and Zach, Zach reminds me of somebody. I can't really pin it. I don't know if he just looks like a generic, tall, brown-haired, brown-eyed dude with a beard, but he reminds me of somebody.
Yeah,
and
I agree. I mean, he reminds me of like a couple different people from other reality shows, but it's just like, exactly what you said, that, stereotype, I guess. But they end up going on a date. People are talking about how they're like a little scared because it's like she's 1 for 1 now, sending people home.
I hated that was like the things that guys said, like, she's 1 for 1 sending people home. I'm like, shut up. And they're all like, maybe she's only going on these dates and just sending people home. I'm like, and if she is, what be of it? If you suck to her, you suck to her.
I mean, it should be good news for you, one way or another.
Like, wouldn't you want to not be like? I guess some of them are waiting to see where they get to go next before they get their heart broken. But they go and meet up with Karamo. I love him from Queer Eye, but I just love that they're really playing up that they're like.
Karamo's from reality TV too. He was from The Real World.
Yes, he was.
Yo, I was like watching the challenge, like on some history of it, and I was like, oh shit, Karamo's from like The Real World.
Yeah, he was on The Real World.
He was on the challenge and one of my other favorite shows. So that's interesting. But yeah, Karamo shows up, he's bringing the energy. I like it. They're popping bottles of champagne. I really liked how Zach he was like, you know how to pop a bottle of champagne? He was like, we'll see. It was kind of real funny. I was like, oh, this guy's got jokes. Nice.
This guy, I feel like they seem very comfortable with each other because this date includes them trying on different outfits for a movie premiere, which like I already know because there isn't like anybody specific promoting something. I'm like, okay, what movie premiere could this even be? It can't be like a real movie. But
they show up, it's like the paparazzi's all like, over here.
yeah. But it's like, I would never on a first date with somebody want to have to like keep coming out of a dressing room and being all like, especially because they're purposely putting them in some crazy outfits for the montage.
It's the rom-com montage though. You need it,
I know. But so they get dressed up. They go do their little paparazzi bit. They're like, you and me, what could this movie be? And then they go into an empty theater, and except for I think his name's Matt White or whoever is the pianist. And
honestly, it made me want to go take piano lessons. I was like, damn, I want to practice piano right now. That's how inspired I was by that.
If you're like, wow, this guy actually got his actual time allotted on the show, and he's pretty good.
Yeah. Also, another thing I thought was interesting is now we're getting cast members that are young enough to have a lot of young videos of themselves. Like I'm probably my family I guess recorded me, like I do see videos.
But it was like older, like people use like like old like tape recording video like handheld camcorders and stuff, and I feel like even with some of these people, because like Rachel's maybe a couple years younger than me at most, they probably still were using that kind of stuff for some of those early things, and then obviously there's pictures and whatever, but they do a compilation, first of all, of Rachel's stuff, and then they transition of, like, Zach's stuff. And they're both getting emo during the whole thing.
I mean, I thought it was pretty emotional, too. I had to think about it. You're away from home, and you're kind of, like, killing it on this date, like, and
you have, like, your mom's coming on saying things about, like, how you hope to find your partner and, like, how, sending you good well wishes and all these things, like... That's definitely, you're a mama's boy for sure. So you'd be crying your eyes out.
I think I was making my bed and I turned around and I had a tear drop from my eye. I was like, oh, damn. Yeah, don't tell anyone, V. But yeah, so, they both have a good time. They talk about how they had this moment where he's all like, yeah, my dad was so obsessed with planes that like he would take us to the airport and watch planes like, just fly off and stuff. And
land.
It's like, oh, you were like, poor.
Wait, you did that? So did I.
Named the planes. I wonder what the planes would be named. And I wonder if that's a fake story too that he had just had. He was like, yeah, we used to. But
the way she agreed, I'm like, this could be easily like. I feel like it's not that uncommon of I don't know.
No, I mean honestly, that was a dad hack right there. If I ever become a dad, like. Forget going to Disney World. We're going to the airport. We're driving, and we're going to go name planes. I'm like, look, that one's called Mickey Mouse.
I think he meant like the actual technical names for these planes.
Okay, whatever. You know what I was saying.
The types of planes, whatever. Not like this one's Jim and this one's like Carol.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I figured out a new dad hack. But so they are really enjoying the date, and they get up on stage and they kiss, and they're having a good time. Where does it go from there? I'm trying to remember like their dinner portion, or that was their evening portion. But while they're on this date, I mean, she gives him the rose. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if they did have dinner, it wasn't memorable for us to bring it up on our podcast here.
But I mean, like, all in all, she gave him the rose because they really connected on the fact that, like, the importance of their family and, like, all of this and that. And
it was just like a date that she needed, you know, right now. So, and he was perfect for it. So,
and while they're on this date, Gabby goes to the house with the boys and, you know, decides to hang out with them. They're throwing around the football. She's gets over that pretty quickly. She's trying to, it's like, you know, it's the biggest sausage party you can have because there's like 20 dudes left and just her. And they're all broing out. As this happened on Michelle's season when she had like a big group date, this happens. They make sure to show at least one scene of this happening, I think, every Bachelorette season these recent years, because I think these like bro relationships on The Bachelorette have become especially like amplified or just shown off more, where they try to show the negative side of it on the show. And
I'm gonna have to like kind of put myself in that situation and think like, I think there's just everyone is all around scared, like, you know, nervous.
You're scared. Also, there's just a lot of people, and you are vibing with, like, you thought you were just going to be chilling with the dudes all day, and then whoever shows up, and you're trying to figure out, like, the best way to go. There's so many of you.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, how are you supposed to go about?
I mean, some dudes might be going, like, so hard that you're, like, rolling your eyes at them, and it's making you not want to go talk to her because you feel like you're going to be corny like that. There's so many different things that could be happening that they they just show, like, scenes of people being like, hey, nice shirt. It's like, yeah, I got this at a wedding in Hawaii. It's like, they make them look really bad. But you throw a football to a bunch of dudes and you're just going to get, you know, that. So, yeah, she was not feeling it.
She wasn't. She wanted them to take more initiative. But I think when it's in that sort of situation, I think she almost has to model what she wants to see, like even on like one, even if she's standing with a couple of them, start like talking to specific people,
right?
Or, like,
being like, you know, Colin, come over here, like, you know, saying what, you know, you should go in there with a game plan too. Gabby's starting to show, like, it doesn't look like the Gabby we're used to. That's what I'm trying, like, I guess we're getting at.
I feel like Gabby this entire episode was super in her head. This didn't help. This made it worse. So she comes out of that being all like, none of these dudes even, like, tried to come at me. Like, what's the deal? Like, aren't they here for me? Like, what's going on? And then she has her one-on-one date with Erich with an H. And it's not just a one-on-one. It's a 2-on-1.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Because Grandpa John is joining them.
Oh! Yeah, Grandpa John is in the building, and he's ready to party.
I love Grandpa John.
Yeah, so we got the Mullet Man and Grandpa going on a date with Gabby. What's this date about?
The first part of the date, they do some, like, definitely it's the more Gabby-centric part of the date, where they go and get, like, their chakras cleansed. They set some intentions. They do some, like, namaste kind of, you know, seemingly, you know, kind of bullshitty stuff, because I believe in that kind of energies and whatever, but I don't know. I have a hard time taking it seriously from like a little blonde white woman. But they do all that. Grandpa John even like nearly falls asleep during part of it. Grandpa John is a good comic relief.
Yeah.
What we need. But he's like also a straight shooter. And we love that about him. And then they go to the more Grandpa John centric part of the date where they go bowling, which we love to see. I love a bowling date. That's like a real deep cut to our show is the whole line. I grew up in a bowling alley from Crystal from Ari's season.
Yeah.
But anyways,
it's funny. Chef John sent this video of me bowling the other day, and it's just like I'm like, we're getting ready to throw it down the alley, and if that's even what it's called. And
it is called an alley.
Okay, throw it down the alley, and I just hit one pin. And
lane, I guess.
Yeah, and I was just like, I hit one pin, and I acted gangster afterwards. It was a funny video. I have to send it to you, but
thanks.
Yeah, it was making me laugh. But I don't know. I just feel like Erich wasn't probably that excited about this date. Like, you know,
Erich wasn't giving what he needed to give. He definitely was he was handsy in front of Grandpa John, seemingly, which I was like, yo, What are you doing?
I mean, that's probably why he was like, damn it, like, I don't want the date with Grandpa John. I mean...
But this is a kind of a good make or break, because Grandpa John's super important in her life.
Did Grandpa John give, like, any, like... okays on him or anything? We didn't really see that, right?
Not really. No, I kind of wanted more Grandpa John input.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think like this Erich date like didn't go off like it should have. I feel like if I was on a date, I would be trying to like build a relationship with Grandpa John. Like, you know.
Me too. You got to be like talking to him, learning more about him and his love story for like how many he was, you know, married for however many years and all these different things. And then they go to.
Maybe go to him for some advice or something. Like,
right,
you know?
like anything. Like, kind of like, this is obviously it's super early in the process still, but like, not like you're not going to get like any blessing, but it's like you would go to him to be all like, tell me more about like Gabby and like what, you know, what you look for in a partner for Gabby or like even anything like that. And I just feel like we didn't get that. And I really kind of wish we did. We got like little clips from him being all like, these dudes are dumb or like whatever, stuff like that. But like, not anything worth our time.
Yep. But, yeah, they go to dinner, and this is where it's like Gabby's still in her head. What happens?
They like they're like talking about family or like whatever, and he's talking about like how close he is with his dad and his mom, and then of course Gabby has to bring up, you know, her mommy issues because she talks about how close she is with her dad and obviously with Grandpa John, and then she talks about her whole, you know, her mommy issues and how her mom pretty much abandoned her, like just isn't involved in her life anymore, like et cetera, et cetera. And the whole time, Erich is just kind of listening and just like not really given anything. But
I mean, that's not even that fair to say though. Like what you could say the wrong thing or whatever. Like at least he was being listening. He wasn't like talking.
Right. I mean, like I think there was a natural pause where he could have been like.
Also, yeah, he's like, "Yo, what's going on here?" Like, you know, I thought we were supposed to be having a good time. Like, he's just probably like catching weird vibes or something. Like,
I don't know. The interest level from him to Gabby seems low when it actually comes to like deep feelings. Besides the fact that he likes making out with her and. Whatever, but she runs to the producers for a while, similar to like when Rachel did that with Jordan last week, and runs to the producers for a while and gets all in her head about like, what if I'm too messy? What if I'm too much? Blah, blah, blah. Like, but recovers, comes back, closes out the date, gives her rose to him. I felt like it just felt like a very incomplete closing to the date. Like they kind of get over it, but like, I don't really know if it was just really a thing they were just like, let's forget about that for now, or like how they did it. But I mean, he, you know, lives to see another day.
Yeah, I mean, I think what might be happening there a little bit that we might not be able to see because of the edit. But yeah, I mean, they're probably like being like, can I even carry the show right now? Like, you know, I feel like this has been a lame day. Like, you know, it's right. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe some of that was happening where it was like, you know, I mean, I think they mentioned it, like they were talking about it being like a slow start and all this stuff. And so, yeah, I just think it was just like a weird day.
Weird vibes all around, I think.
But yeah. He survives the storm, gets that rose. Where do we go to next?
Now we have our group date, which I guess is the biggest group date ever done on the show. There's the rest of the dudes, 19 of them, who go and do, you know, the infamous photo shoot with Franco, whoever, who's can't be a real photographer because none of the photos that they show that he does are good. So I'm like, he can't, I think he's just, you know, a bit. It's just a now continued bit of him. And they do, you know, the full thing where they have them all dressed up. They each get, you know, their different costumes that they have to wear. Some of them are like kind of like Daisy Dukes, car wash. Some of them are like patients, you know, just in hospital gowns. Some, there's some babies, some kids. There's Jacob in just a leaf. Which was the talk of the date because not only Gabby, who got to take the photos and was Eve to his Adam in that photo, but Rachel was peering from like the dressing room area, like between the curtains being like, holy cannoli, like what is going on?
Why do you think he He was packing?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that leaf wasn't big.
He had some BDE?
I feel like he thinks he has BDE. I don't really know if he does. You know what I mean?
I mean, the end of this episode tells us. But, so yeah, I mean, lame group date. I mean, I guess they all do their, like, they all have to do fake proposals. And Nate actually kind of pulls out all the stop with his fake proposal to Gabby. Like, they're definitely a vibe. Like, they are vibing. He is into her. She is liking what he's bringing to the table. Do you think he was a little bit also in his head this week, coming off of his date and just seeing all the other guys? Like, he's just like, yo, like, he thinks he's already, like, the one, and he's watching all these idiots. I think he was
a bit in his head, but I feel like he's a little bit more humble about it than I feel like I'm comparing him to Michelle season Nate, who was definitely a little bit more cocky about where he stood with Michelle, kind of in similar roles, where obviously we know how that worked out. But yeah, no, I think he was more nervous to, like, prove himself than be all like, I've got this handled. He's all like, oh shit, I had a great date with her and, like, I'm really picturing this future and everything, but, like, there's still all these other motherfuckers.
So group date happens. They have an after party.
They have the after party, and this is when what we saw last week with Rachel starts happening to Gabby, which just on top of her, weird times at her one-on-one date, weird times during when she'd, like, crash the house, she gets told by multiple dudes that they're more here for Rachel, and they're like, I just want to be honest, which I think is the right move, but some of them did it the wrong way.
Well, like, before we get into that, because I want to say I feel like there's something happening with behind the scenes with the producers and with the editing here, because I don't think she got, like, piled on like that, like not like one after it.
Yeah. Plus, I want to know, because they're at the SoFi Stadium, that's the LA Rams stadium, and I want to know, like, how were they? It seemed like when each of them would be with people, they would be kind of away from other people. So I was just kind of confused on how they were, like, filtering people in and out, or how that was being shot, or, like, where other people would be. Because, like, when Rachel was on the on the field, she was, like, all, like, cuddled up with Avon, and, like, seemingly nobody was around. It was just very strange. I wanted to know.
I mean, I feel like that's where the producer manipulation might have been happening here, where they were like, they probably asked each guy, like, which one are you feeling? And be like, I'm feeling this one. Well, maybe you should go tell Gabby that you're, the right move would probably be to go
that's
tell.
That's a good point.
And so they all started to do it. And, man, so first of all, the first guy that did it was all right? I forgot.
The first guy, I think he was just pretty chill about it. And then the first guy was just like, yeah, I'm, like, just feeling, I think it was Tyler. He was like, I'm just feeling Rachel more. Like, I feel like I'm building a connection with her, but, like, you're great, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then Hayden comes in.
One person you can take, but then the next person comes.
Yeah. Hayden comes in, and he's all like, yeah, Rachel's everything I'm looking for. You're, like, he doesn't say you're a little rough, but he's like, I don't know, like, your personality is fun or whatever and rough around the edges. And Rachel's just more for me, which I'm like, yikes. That's not what you say to a woman. You're not out here saying that she's rough. Like, when you're then saying that you'd rather have somebody else. Like, rough around the edges could have, like, a more positive way spun if it was said differently. But the fact that you're all like, I like this person better because she's not that. That's, like, where it's like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, totally though. I get. Gabby looks great, but they're two different types of women. They're just two.
They're two different. Which I think you could say that without being like you're rough around the edges.
Right.
And then Jacob, romance novel. Adam to her Eve, Jacob comes in, and he pretty much is all like, I mean, I gotta be honest, my heart's not in it. Like, if you were the only one here, I don't think I could continue. I don't think I'd be here.
Man, like, these guys are friggin' idiots, because, like, he probably really thought that maybe Gabby would go back and tell Rachel this, and it'd be, like, a plus for him.
Yeah, which, like, in what world would that be like, if you're hearing from the other girl, like being all like, yeah, this dude pretty much said that if I weren't here, fuck me. Like,
yeah. And this is where, like, you know, I mean, this is starting to be like the popping of the pimple for me with both these people, like all these people, because like he's like, think about it. Like, you're lucky enough to be on a season where you have, like, you know, 2 women. Like, you don't even have a choice usually on who you get to pick. You know, what if Rachel wasn't here? Like, for real, would you be saying this to Gabby? No, right. You wouldn't. Put yourself.
And plus, you don't know who you're getting most of the time until you're already like through the process.
It's just like, it's just such a stupid thing to say. Like, you know, you would not. You would totally not. That's a bull-faced lie. You wouldn't come on this show and then be like, I'm going to go home because Gabby's the Bachelorette. Like, you know.
And if that's like if that's really what you experienced after your like interactions, night 1 experiences.
No one does that. Like,
but
no one does that in the history of the show, really. That,
but homie was like talking her up and stuff for like a lot of these dates. So it's like, you're going to come out, like, it just seems unfounded.
Yeah. I mean, what it is these guys are setting up defense mechanisms for themselves to, when they get rejected at some point, to be like, see, I mean, I never liked Gabby anyways. Like, you know,
which is like also super immature.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's dumb. But I mean, what are we gonna do? There's just this shows you a sample of the men that are out there, and you're gonna get a couple dummies. So yeah. Gabby's obviously not too thrilled about this, you know, so they come back down. She has this dramatic entrance where, like, you know, obviously Rachel's like having the time of her life.
Rachel's been making out with multiple people. She's been feeling all the love. She's like,
how fast we forget that, like, this was exactly the same scenario Rachel was in.
This is exactly what happened to Rachel's last week. Like, same situation.
Yeah. So yeah, and Rachel's just like, you know, my rose goes to Avon, who's, you know,
Avon's so hot.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy. So yeah, I mean, there's some good-looking guys this season. Gabby is like, no, I'm not giving my rose out to anyone.
She's like, today's been a rough day for me for multiple reasons, and I just feel like, based on my interactions.
I love Rachel's shocked face. Like, she's just like,
yeah, you could tell Rachel's all like, we did not debrief on this before giving out roses.
Yeah, can we do that?
What's going on?
Yeah.
And so she's like, I'm not giving out my rose. Sorry, suckers. And like, everybody else is all like,
yeah.
And she's like, so the night's over. Adios.
Rachel
like,
goes to talk to her.
Closing time. Like, your night doesn't have to end, but you just gotta leave.
Closing time. Oh my gosh. So yeah, Rachel goes to grab Gabby to see like what was up, and she was just not feeling it. She's like, do I need to go talk? You know, honestly, I have to say that, like, this is like ego, I think, coming in. This is where the ego starts going into the women's side of it, because, you know, obviously it seemed like Rachel kind of obviously has Gabby's back, but at the same time, it must feel good, like, to know that, like, you know, there's people out here that are saying that they want you. Like, I know you're gonna have girl code and stuff, but at the end of the day, like, it's nice to hear that guys are.
I mean, of course, but like, I can tell, like, in the moment, like, Rachel is like at least super supportive and pissed that these dudes are saying shit like this to Gabby, because Gabby tells her, you know, this is what was told to me. Like, I was pretty much turned down by multiple people, and some of it wasn't nice. And she tells her, and you could tell, like, Rachel's like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? Like, why? Because you could tell Rachel, like, doesn't find it that attractive that they're saying it that way either. Like, she could feel like the initial, like, ooh, they want me. But, like, she's going to be like, wait a second, but they're saying it like this? They're talking this kind of talk? Like, that's not okay. Because, like, her and Gabby are girls. Like, I think, like, they're girls first. But it definitely isn't the vibe, and you could tell she's upset. And when the guys are back in the house, like, prepping for what they think is going to be the cocktail party and the rose ceremony, Logan and stuff is breaking down to the dudes that were there, being all like, yeah, when we were walking out, I could see that Gabby had been crying, like, stuff like was a little crazy, like, I don't know what to expect for this cocktail party and rose ceremony.
So yeah, Jesse comes in and he's like, fellas, this ain't it. This not working. This is not working right now. And he's like, you know, what did he say?
he was all like, they don't think this process is working for them if it continues down this path. Like, they're like, if it keeps going the way it's going, you're not going to have any bachelorettes pretty much. Like, they're going to be gonzo.
So, yeah, they're deciding that they're going to just pick guys for them. And moving forward, like, if you get a rose from this person, you're committed to that woman, and we're going to have journeys for each of them. And the guys are like, and you're not going to have a cocktail party tonight. So the guys
so anybody who's on the fence, it's like, screw you.
Yeah, and totally, man. It was annoying to see the guys that are just like
waffling.
Yeah.
Just still waffling.
Dude, you guys are waffles, you know what I'm saying? Let go of those egos, because these guys are losers, and I just think that, like, they should already had a plan, you know. I just think that
I think it should have been like that from the jump.
Yeah. Also,
like, the giving out individual roses, I get how maybe they wanted I don't know, but I also just think, yeah, like, you should already know. I think some of them almost like said along the lines being all like, guess I'm just going to go into this rose ceremony and go with my gut. And it's like, okay, I guess. Like, that's all you can do.
But to be fair, though, like, you know, I'm pretty sure it was like Rachel from last season talking to Clayton about how this is not just your journey. Like, there is another person a part of this too. So, like, the guys do have a say in some things. They should. Right. That's what I think this is interesting about this season, is that a little bit of the power should kind of be like back and forth, because if it wasn't like the format of the show, you know, it has to be a partnership. Yes. And you obviously want people who are interested in you to be going on dates with you, and not people that aren't. Right.
But I don't think they should be controlling the narrative in some of the ways that they have been.
Well, what I was going to say is that, like, I feel like why the format is better with having kind of two leads is because it makes it so it's not so much of a competition to win, if that means anything.
Right, because it's like you're trying to figure out who you like better.
Yeah.
And it's like then you're trying to actually date that person that you do like better.
It's not like you're Dale and you're just like, I won Claire, like, you know, before everyone even had a chance to, like, do the whole process. So I just think, so there's that. So we go into the rose ceremony. Guys are sweating, and now they're going to have to put their money where their mouth is, because it's like, you know, you talk the talk, you're going to have to walk the walk. You said you like this girl, and, you know, what are you going to do if you get a rose from the other girl? And I don't know, at this point, should we talk about that Bachelor data stuff, or should we talk about it after the rose ceremony?
I think we could talk about it, like, in right now, because how we see it is that we see it, like, switching back and forth between Gabby and Rachel.
Yeah, and let's not forget that. So it looks like, first of all, that Gabby had more roses, but also, like, Rachel had already given out 2 roses.
Yeah, Rachel had already given out her date rose, her one-on-one date rose, and the group date rose. And Gabby only gave out 1 rose.
Meaning that they wanted to go into next week's episode having an even amount of guys, right?
Yeah.
So they already kind of knew the guys that they were going to all pick. So they start doing it, you know, they get their, you know, their obvious ones out of the way. And then there's some guy I never even seen before. That's like the first guy that, like,
Termaine, who I think has maybe had like a collective of a full minute of screen time.
Even if that, you know, he denies Rachel's rose. And he says, I'm here for Gabby. You know, once again, this is all fine and dandy if it's only one person that does it. But it isn't. You just open up the floodgates for other idiots to follow. Like,
yeah,
you know?
And it's interesting because, like, Jesse literally comes in being all like, all right, you get to go back in line to see if Gabby's going to save your ass. She won't.
Yeah.
And he's like, sorry, Rach, got to grab this rose from you. You don't get to give out an extra rose. And it's like, woof.
I mean, you would have to have such a good connection with Gabby. Because, like, think about it. Like, it doesn't even make sense to do that. Like, if you had such a good connection with Gabby,
you have to think that her and Rachel talked through to some degree who they're choosing.
Yeah.
So you would think,
which probably wasn't an easy task at all, but it was done.
Like, and you would have to think that, like, you would have to have like a award-winning connection somehow for Gabby to be all like, never mind, I'm saving your ass because I really do want you, instead of whoever, like, especially, or maybe if somebody else denied her, which nobody does that we see, and nobody denies her, and you would have to have like a great relationship with her. It just wouldn't work. Like, it's a bold move. It's a bold move.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting that no one denies her, because there would have to have been some questionable ones, right?
Yeah, which, yeah, I mean, depending, but I guess most, yeah, I would have to say. But so Rachel gets denied by Termaine, and then she gets denied. I think she gets like a break of like somebody accepting it, and then she gets denied by Alec, who looks
is
like
an idiot, like, you know,
who looks like a little fuckboy in general. He just.
I don't even know, like, these guys are so cocky that they really think that they're going to deny one girl by saying this. They think they're being, like, noble or something, and you're just
it's like,
dumb.
stay true to who you like, I guess. But, like, my thing is, like, you have to then know that you're probably out. There's just, like, the chance is so slim that Gabby's like, all right, let me say, like.
And to be honest, I don't believe any of these guys really wanted to go. They just really thought they were going to stay. Like, you know, if they thought they were going to go home, they probably, like, because there's idiots. If they thought they were going to go home, they probably would have just gotten whatever rose and stayed, you know, because it looks like even though people got roses from them, they're still going to do this, like, shicey stuff, like, where they're like, I know I got the rose from this one, but I like that one, like, you know, so it doesn't even, like, matter. It's just like, just live to see another day, you idiots.
Yeah, but and then right after Alec turns her down, Meatball turns her down, which that was a surprise, because I was like, Meatball, really, bro? Like, all right. But so that ends it. The three people that denied Rachel, so Termaine, Alec, and Meatball, are supposed to be going home. And then also Jacob, you know, the Adam to the Eve, the romance novel dude, which I just think, you know, he pretty much sealed his fate with the shit that he said to Gabby.
Was he going to just go home was he going to be the only one to go home?
I don't know.
I mean, because if everyone accepted their roses, he would have not even been offered a rose, right?
Yeah. He might have been the only one.
Wow. So, like, literally 3 people, like, self-eliminated themselves. So now we got, like, 8 guys for Rachel, 9 guys for Gabby. You know,
we've got, for Team Rachel, we got Tino, Logan, who will be a person of interest in the future, Tyler, Ethan, Jordan, Hayden, Avon, and Zach. And then for Gabby, we've got Nate, Johnny, Spencer, Jason, Mario, Kirk, who I couldn't even tell you. Kirk is, I don't know, Quincy / Prince, Michael, and then Erich.
So the girls each go to their each separate guys.
Their little areas,
their cheers, and that's the end of our episode until we get this post-credit scene of Meatball, like, being like, shit, I messed up. Like, you know, I didn't want to go home. And, you know, I have to give him credit. Well, before we get into that, I want to say that this is also kind of it was kind of like Rachel was like, oh my God, if I get denied one more time, I'm done. I'm leaving. And I was like, right. I did want to see another person do it, to be honest, because at that point you're being like, it's like, whatever you got, like, yeah, it sucks, but like, this is the ego thing I'm talking about. You have a bunch of
I think that's a very relatable crush of the ego.
Yes, but dude, you have like better guys that you definitely picked, and they like are accepting of your rose in the other room. Like, you're gonna go home because this loser denied your rose.
I mean, she's emotional and dramatic. I don't think she was gonna actually go home, but I think it was definitely.
All I'm saying is, when she said that, I was hoping somebody else did, and someone else did, and it was Meatball. But so Meatball, you know, realizes he made a dumb mistake, and he was like, came up with a genius excuse. I mean, like, you'd have to have, like, you know, some balls to like try to even think you could go back in there.
Meatballs,
yeah, some meatballs. Oh my gosh, damn, man. So yeah, you know, he goes back in and he's like, Rachel, I made a stupid mistake because I've just had more time to connect with Gabby, and you know, I obviously would love to get to know you more. And he's like, you know, I wish Rachel would have just been like, dude, no.
I mean, we don't even get her response because this is a post-credits scene.
He's staying.
I think he's staying because we see the preview for next episode, and we see the back of a head that has the same haircut as him. He's got a pretty distinctive, like longer, curly-ish, like kind of slicked back haircut, saying the whole bit of somebody saying, I can't trust these bitches. I think he's the one who rats on somebody else. Maybe it's Logan. Maybe it's somebody else who becomes more of a villain.
I think
can't trust these bitches line.
Who do you think it is? Because I think maybe it's Erich.
It could be Erich too, because Erich just seemingly, he is like trying to play both sides as well as Logan did. And I feel like he really didn't give anything in Gabby's one-on-one, and I could easily see him also being a villain. He just has bad vibes.
Yeah, and Rachel's got that body. You know what I'm saying? So I think some of the guys might see that too. I mean, I don't know. I am excited about this, but I feel like, it's still going to be a lot of a mess moving forward. And I think producers are trying to do that. I think producers, which it just really does hurt to see, because it's like, we're really like, they're trying to push the idea to the outward nation being like, these are the girlies got each other. And then meanwhile, they're like behind the scenes, like trying to tear people apart. And I'm like, I hate that. Totally. I hate that. Totally. But you're underneath the Bachelor Nation magic spell, so it's like you got to kind of keep trucking ahead. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything else come from previews for next week that you saw that stood out? The whole Logan bit where Logan looks like he's going to be talking to producers or whoever is saying that he might have made the wrong choice and that he might still have feelings for Rachel. Which one is Logan? The chicks? He's the one that kissed both of them that night. The one holding the chicks? Yeah. Yeah, that guy's a loser. He is a loser. It's been told by everybody on all these girlies from San Diego on TikTok. I've been all like, nah, he's a play. To be honest, though, I don't know if I can believe those TikToks really anymore. Like, I feel like a lot of the TikTokers know that it gets them attention by saying that type of stuff. It's just happened too many times. I want to see the receipts. Some of them showed the receipts, though. So okay. Some of them have showed, like... I believe it. Oh, another tea to spill. Did you see, what's his name? The one that... Nate? Yeah, one of them, just recently went unprivate on their Instagram. Oh, Jason. Yeah. And they're saying that that's probably alluding to the fact that he probably did something that was going to get him a bunch of backlash. So he waited this long to. Interesting. We'll have to see how that turns out. But other Bachelor Nation news, Nate from this current season. Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess it's a side chick. I'm not trying to demean this woman, but she went, took to her TikTok or Instagram or whatever to make a video saying how, Nate never told her about his daughter in the year and a half that they were dating. And my thing is all how much dating were you doing that wasn't talked about? I don't really know if what do we consider dating in this? Yeah. I mean, we've had conversations around this subject for reasons. But, I think, to each their own, it's their child. I think you can't hide the fact that you have a kid. Well, you can't hide, especially on national television. You don't have to introduce your kid until you feel comfortable to said person that you're dating. But you can't be it's a huge part of your life. Sure. Which but I don't think. Also, national television, you can't hide that from the world. You have to get that out the way, because if you don't talk about it right away, social media is going to get on your ass and let them know that you have a kid. So it's a lot better that he told Gabby that he had a kid before. On their first day. Yeah, before, this girl could go live on TikTok knowing that, I dated him for a year and a half and he never told me he had a kid, Gabby. And, so I guess he was smart in that sense. So, yeah, what else we got? Love is Blind, Natalie from Love is Blind Season 2 and Blake Moynes, famously from several seasons of this show now, are being romantically linked, if you will, because they were both on this trip in the Caribbean, however you want to pronounce it. I guess he's doing some things with turtle conservation or whatever, and she's,
taken a liking to the kinds of work with animals and film, all that kind of stuff. So they're fueling some rumors that they might be dating. I don't know. Seems like a interesting pairing.
Apparently Blake's a great guy. He's just
apparently Blake is a great guy.
Apparently he's a great guy. I just think he also likes attention from these women, from this caliber of women, which is like a reality show. But I don't see it.
That's my type.
I think he definitely would hook up with her, and they probably could easily hook up. But they ain't the real deal.
No. And then
speaking of similar crossovers.
Yeah, the now known couple of Balake and Giannina.
Should we call it Love is Batch couples?
Love is Batch. I like that. They were, a video has come out from Stagecoach back when they were seen together, where it was pretty obvious that they must be dating, but they still hadn't been official with it. But super fans, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, who have been on Bachelor franchise shows before for dates, to host them, they were the first ones to find out, because they're like, wait, are you guys dating? Blah, blah, blah. Why do I recognize you? And all that. So that's kind of a funny little tidbit.
Yeah, I saw that video and it looked like Ashton Kutcher was not interested in this.
But you could tell Mila Kunis was all like, oh my God.
Well, she's like the real deal fangirl. Obviously Ashton is like most boyfriends that'll watch it with you, but he's not going to be here. He knows that there's people filming. He's not going to fanboy out for no paycheck over these two. So he was just sitting there literally sipping on a drink
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then last little bit of Bachelor Nation news is that Tyler Cameron has started dating Paige Lorenz, who's a model who famously dated or was, dating, hooking up with or whatever, Armie Hammer. So I wonder if he got weird and cannibalistic with her. Who's to say? Who's to say? But obviously Tyler Cameron likes his models,
Yeah. He could literally pick whoever he wanted, probably.
He could. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah. So that's what he wants. That's what he'll get. So that's what we got for Bachelor Nation news. What do you guys think? Do you think, Blake and Natalie should be the next Love is Batch couple? Do you see them together? Do you pit them together? What do you think? Do you think that you should tell when is it the time to tell whoever you're dating that you have a kid? Right away?
By date 3 maximum.
Veronica,
by date 3 maximum.
Do you agree?
That's a common thing. Whatever.
Do you agree with Veronica's three date rule about the child that's coming out?
Should really be coming out by date 2. But I'll give you a 3 wiggle room.
Okay. Well, let us know in the comments below.
Future Bachelor Podcast.